Silicon Valley, technology, art, green, and sustainability.
Hi, welcome to Silicon Valley Tech, Art, Green, and Sustainability. Today I'm here with two ladies who are doing some fun sustainability and food things around the Bay Area and really making a difference there. We have Molly Holbrook and Renee Guild, and ladies, let's have you do a self-introduction. Molly.
My name's Molly Holbrook, chef and owner of Organicopia, private chef and gourmet catering company.
And Renee.
And I'm Renee Guild, and I own the PicnicGuild, which is a catering business that works with wineries and delivers picnics to the wineries.
So now both of you have very unique businesses, and they're a little different, but they are working with food and wineries, who are organic wineries, et cetera. And it's kind of unique business models. Go a little deeper in how maybe you started with the business and what made you come up with this idea. And Renee, let's start with you.
Well, I think my background, I've worked in a lot of different areas in the industry, but I started out basically cooking with my mom, who was a fabulous cook, and she subscribed to Gourmet when I was a kid. Basically, forever I was inspired by her. She did a lot of catering and always self-catered parties of her own. And so I kind of grew up with this inspirational person and a lot of inspiration around. So she taught me an attitude towards cooking. So when I got out of college and I started thinking about what I want to do with my life, I got a job in a really good restaurant in Santa Rosa called the Painted House, which was at that time the best restaurant in Santa Rosa. And I discovered I loved cooking. I was the sous chef there and just really enjoyed it. So. Long story short, I wound up going to New Zealand because my father was a New Zealander. I got my master's in sociology at the University of Auckland, came home and decided to pair the sociology with the energy industry, and I worked in the energy industry for most of my career. But I always catered these big parties. I always did a lot of social work, volunteering, my catering for groups like Seroptimus, where I met you, and so I just decided recently, with my daughter's help, she's a recent graduate of UC Santa Cruz, to start this business. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the business as we get into it, but
okay.
That's a little bit about me.
And you have a fascinating background too, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Thank you.
And then Molly, so how did you decide to get into what you're doing?
I think for me, I went to culinary school. I started at West Valley and I was an English major, and I always loved to write. And my brother, who's now a food critic for the Metro, he was the chef in the family. And as I went through school, I found that I wasn't extremely motivated and it wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. So I enrolled at the California Culinary Academy in San Francisco.
Which has a great program.
It is.
It has a really, I've always wanted to go up to their, isn't it like there's a Friday dinner you can sample with the cooks that are going through the chef school there?
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of where I got my idea to start as a private chef. I didn't want to work in a restaurant because I didn't want to be doing the same meal every single day. I wanted to have complete creative freedom, and I was fortunate enough to find a family to cook for and kind of work my way through school.
So I'm going to have them bring up some slides right now. Let's bring up the first slide, and we'll go back to more on your new experience with this. And so this is the PicnicGuild, the slide that we're looking at here. Tell us a little bit about this, Renee.
Okay, well, this is me at one of our tastings at Regale Winery. The idea of the PicnicGuild is we create these very beautiful, all organic, packaged and sustainable packaging that you order 24 hours in advance on our website. And so What I'm doing there is at one of our PicnicGuild members, or one of the 6 wineries that are places where you pick up the picnic from. So you order 24 hours in advance on our website, and then you pick out your menu from among 3 courses. These are all for 2. And they're very elegantly presented in these nice boxes. And you can see on the left there's a sample little picnic box that we have picnic accessories that we sell for various events. So you can get a gift certificate along with this picnic box that is full of little goodies like candles and waters and chocolates and things that are sort of a romantic nature. And what could be better for a guy that doesn't know what to do with his girl to buy one of these and take her wherever all he has to do is find the place that he wants to take her.
Or a corporation that wants to, and here we are with the box in your lap here to one of the boxes, or a corporation that maybe wants to treat their employees to a winery. That's a nice idea.
Yeah, and you can carry these from place to place, and so the first course comes in these containers that my daughter Jessica found, and they're a local distributor that are made of corn, and this is made of sugar cane. Everything is totally compostable within about 120 days. So you get your first course, which is an antipasti that goes in this little thing, and then it's surrounded by crostini, and you get to choose which kind you want on the web. And then the second course is the main course, which is served usually with a little pesto on the side. Right now we have a very elegant turkey saltimbocca, and then there is the dessert, which is little cakes, and you can choose from different almond cakes or one cake that's a Renée cake.
Okay, I'm getting hungry now.
And so
and then we're going to pull up one more slide right now, and we're going to go to Molly's next slide. So let's pull that one up, and then this is kind of a little overview taste, and we're going to have some more slides later of Molly's catering. And just again, quickly tell the audience what it is, how this relates to what you do.
Well, basically, I'm a CSA member, which is Community Supported Agriculture. I really try to educate my clients on caring and knowing about where their food comes from. And I really always try to keep things local. So the slide on the bottom, which is a slide of a garden, I used to live up on Summit, and we had this beautiful garden and a beautiful orchard. And the goal is to try to live off the land as much as possible. And I try to encourage my clients to do the same. So I encourage them to have their own gardens and to, just reap the benefits of having fresh produce at your fingertips.
And you have a relationship with some of the organic farmers in the area?
Absolutely. I think that one of the best things about being a member of the CSA is that you get to have a direct relationship with the people that grow your food, and then I get to share that with my clients.
And so going back to the philosophy of food and organics, why don't both of you, talk about that a little bit in your business and how you kind of came, because I know you're very entrenched in that and what you're doing. And I actually met you at the Hensley House, which later on we'll see a slide of that. And you're cooking some fresh organic food. Is it a couple days a week for this person?
Yeah,
5 days?
5 days a week.
5 days a week.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's amazing. And I think more people are starting to appreciate the home cooked meal and not the fast food. And particularly here in Silicon Valley, we're more educated. And so that's why what you guys are doing is a great thing. Instead of grabbing a sandwich at Safeway, this is an alternative. So talk about that a little bit in your, your sustainability in food and what you're doing with your food. And I guess we'll start with you, Renee. And do you have any comments on that?
Well, just a few.
And then organic wineries,
I kind of came at this with the background that I've always gardened, and I come from folk that are. As a little kid, my granddad had a big dairy farm in Nevada, and my mom and I would visit him every summer. And I just remember going out and being on the land and them using the manure in the alfalfa fields and just going into the cellar with the cellar line with these gleaming jars of pickles and chutneys and relishes and homegrown tomatoes and I just my earliest cooking memory is standing on a stool in my grandmother's kitchen and trying to help them make pickles and I kind of come at it from almost a genetic point of view. That's where I come from, and I wouldn't consider feeding my family or by extension my customers, which are like an extension of my family, anything but organic produce and organic poultry and the best quality sustainably harvested fish that I can find. So it's a passion of mine, but it's also almost an evolutionary thing.
What's interesting about your grandfather having a dairy farm, my great-grandparents had a dairy farm in the Central Valley.
Really?
Yeah, and anyway, it's just interesting, the whole canning. You know, I think there's a resurgence in the canning, people wanting to can their own stuff organically. So organic wineries too.